Hi, I'm presenting our Monash Robotics project today. It's for the Faculty of Engineering. The site is located in Bunurong country, and we acknowledge the Bunurong people as the traditional owners of this land at Monash University's Clayton campus. The project was essentially the refurbishment of this 1960s building, just a ground floor refurbishment with no changes to the upper levels or underneath. It was also a refurbishment of this double height high voltage lab to turn it into an experimentation space. You can see it dashed in red. The robotics platform brings together academics and researchers working in robotics from multiple different departments into a dedicated research environment, promoting cross-disciplinary collaboration. Here are some of the robots the team work with. Existing research spaces were all located separately across the university. Office space workspaces used largely for computer programming, and workshop spaces where robots are in operation. Some quick siting diagrams. Here's the existing space with the high voltage shed at the rear. Some existing site conditions. The new Woodside building at the end of Alliance Lane, being finished last year or the year before, meant that the lane was going to become a key pedestrian thoroughfare. We considered the courtyards at the rear and started to look at this building in red, building 36A, that meant that this area was largely seen as a loading dock with inactive facades all around, blocking view connections. So we suggested the brief should be modified to include the demolition of building 36A as well, which meant that we could activate the facade all around and connect Alliance Lane with the engineering courtyard. And importantly, then allow for connections with adjacent industry partners and the makers space across the courtyard. Here's the existing view to the courtyard with building 36 in the way. We looked at the original 1960s building and needed to work with the structural grid. Internally, the existing corridors had no light and no sense of what was happening behind frosted glass and closed doors. On Alliance Lane, we realised that what looked like a junkyard was actually materials testing underway, with student work spilling out into the lane. We wondered what Alliance Lane might want to be, and we thought it might be a place of action and testing. It was previously also a crash testing site. We wondered what the new Alliance Lane might be adjacent to a robotics lab, and we thought it might be a place where you might meet a robot. The human and robot testing would spill out to the lane. Just some diagrams in 3D. You can see Alliance Lane here, and that's building 36. So removing building 36A meant we had more active facade frontage. We've pulled out some of the robotics program into the lane to allow for oblique views in, and proposed a new shade canopy as a unifying element that allows the robotics work to be on show. The half round shapes coming from the original materials experiments we saw on the lane, with new landscape and seat elements contributing to the public realm. Here's the canopy. When only a small portion of a building's being renovated, there's much discussion about getting the balance right. You can see here the robotics activity within and one of the laneway seats. So to the canopy system. We thought that the canopy design could be expressed as a language of assembly with a series of repeated discrete parts, with robotic articulated joints and legs that might look like they could get up and walk away, connecting with landscape and seating elements. So you can see here some of the retained elements of the existing building and how the canopy starts to work around them, with the robots on display. We hoped that the canopy could be a balance of something robust, yet also fine and delicate. And here's the experimentation space with a new courtyard and frontage where research and experiments are on display. It's now connected to the makers space across the courtyard where it's possible to host events and show experiments to industry partners. So this is what we were briefed with, the briefed areas, all zoned separately. But we've actually found prototyping didn't happen off in a separate space, but it was a a constant process of coding and testing with the robots. We thought the diagram should look more like this and proposed groupings of academics and researchers based on collaboration rather than hierarchy. So this is the plan, with the groupings based on active and quiet work. We also proposed that the kitchen and meeting spaces would be better placed down this end near the experimentation space so that both could have a public-facing front, with a new entry that also meant functions and visitors wouldn't disturb those hard at work. For the workspaces, we separated the enclosed offices to put academics with their teams, provided collaboration spaces, and shared 3D printing and soldering stations, tool storage, and also meeting rooms throughout. Just getting to the next one. We photographed this during COVID lockdowns before anyone moved in. Here's the circulation space with the lockers and shared personal tools. We tried to balance the quality and function of a workshop with an office environment, soft tones, natural materials, with acoustic treatment all important. Cork circles define the open collaboration spaces, and you can see here the new transparency across the building. There's also a flexible function space adjacent the kitchen on the corner of the lane, and there's the kitchen space, which we saw as an important place for gathering and sharing ideas. And just a few more pictures of the spaces in action. The soldering station and the 3D printing room all getting lots of use. And finally, some details. My team have worked through the canopy detailing down to the bolts and have carefully described the assembly sequence, essentially documenting to shop drawing levels, each curved element scheduled and located. We worked painstakingly around the existing building with significant services coming above and below. So really the project brief was really to deliver an internal fit out for the refurbishment of the building for the engineering department. We think the outcome has achieved well beyond that, all within original budget and time frame during COVID. We were able to show the engineering faculty the reciprocal benefits of opening up and contributing to the campus, and were therefore able to significantly improve the public realm outcomes for the project, well beyond what was expected or requested. The transformation from this to this, and this to this. Thanks.